Hello everyone, today we are going to talk about vaccine implementation and campaign planning. We are going to speak about the long and unwinding road to make vaccine accessible to the population in need. We are going to focus on vaccine planning and specifically what is key in introducing a new vaccine. So vaccine strategies in any setting take into account the routine immunization like IPI, national immunization days mostly organized by the government and partners, and supplementary immunization campaigns during most disease outbreaks like cholera or Ebola. Routine immunization is less expensive compared to supplementary campaign because they are part of the health delivery services but serve 80% of the population and they are not time bound. It is done in the clinic and sometimes in school or churches. The national immunization days like polio are done in collaboration with other activities but more expensive compared to routine immunization. It's also time bound but is useful in reaching hard to reach population. Lastly, supplementary immunization campaign strategy is costly. The campaign looks for the vaccinees and is important in controlling outbreak or in general disease control. The vaccination campaign has essential upstream processes that start from the vaccine registration by the manufacturer for market organization and application to the WHO for pre-qualification so that they can access the developing countries' market. The micro and micro planning set on the vaccine aspect on the field. Social mobilization and human resources are the drivers of the success and much time required for this. When it comes to logistic, equipments and cold chain up priority, overall budget, the cost of implementation and campaign, and cost effectiveness versus alternative is looked when it comes to budget. The manufacturer handles vaccine registration for the market authorization before the vaccine is available in the country. The company must obtain the regulatory approval from the regulatory authority like FDA or EMA and sometimes WHO pre-qualification. The company then applies for import authorization in the destination of countries. After custom clearance, the vaccine is available in the country, but the secondary bodies like government or WHO bodies and micro planning are very vital programs, from social mobilization to monitoring and evaluation. The Ministry of Health of the countries, with the high level of the political commitment to vaccination and collaboration with NGOs. After that, a risk assessment is conducted in targeted areas, looking at the areas predominantly at risk. And then a cost-effective analysis is done compared to the alternative which is available. The target population are estimated as precise as possible so that we can identify the population at risk, then do assessment and mapping. If possible, epidemiological study should be considered first. Tasks should be assigned to dedicated personnel and allocated of duties done for the national and local levels. Vaccination points located strategically in the places and is easily accessible by the population. Opening hours and closing of the immunization post should be realistic to assess the target population. Planning and previses to identify potential issues before the campaign starts. Supervising the immunization team all through the process will help in addressing any arising issues. Social mobilization, referring to informing, educating, and communicating to the stakeholders, which include the locals, is vital and contribute mainly to the success of the campaign. It involves the use of social media to disseminate key messages and all information of the campaign. Several media should be used, such as radio, TV, social media, and print media too. Community engagement is significant involvement of major stakeholders such as the teachers, community leaders, religious leaders, and celebrities. Use of open communication at all time to respond to questions and doubts. One must take into account the local and cultural specifics, hence should be integrated into strategy and the development of the campaign. During open question session, one can respond to negative messages with facts and past successful stories. Pay attention to local customs, social cultural determinants, literacy rates, and language. Learn the target population well. Human resources is one of the key areas and the key drivers of the program, from screening nurses to program management. In one immunization post, up to 4 personnel can be deployed, but it also depends on the population density. Clerical personnel doing a screening of eligibility and filling the immunization form card, a technical person or a nurse that the vaccinator is responsible for vaccine administration and mixing the vaccine with the buffer solutions and ensuring that the whole vaccine is ingested. Another clerical officer should be dealing with the data collection from the vaccinees and filling the tally sheets and stamping or signing the immunization cards. Expert or monitoring or surveillance officers communicating health education messages and monitoring the implementation of the campaign. All in all, there must be a program manager to oversee the entire program. Logistics is one of the key areas when it comes to vaccine implementation campaign. This focuses on transport, training, and waste management. The transportation of vaccine, ensuring that there is a cold chain using the cold boxes, ice packs, vaccine carriers, and other form from the central to the peripheral levels sites need to be monitored all the time to ensure that the cold chain closely and must be planned ahead of time so that it does not delay the campaign. Also, in transportation of dedicated staff, training of the immunization personnel is also vital and critical, and competencies should be evaluated. There is need to practice several times the assigned tasks before the vaccination day. Collection and recycle should be in place before the beginning of the vaccine campaign, and personnel trained in waste management to avoid reinfection or injuries. All in all, budget, when it comes to the cost, price, affordability is a significant barrier or an obstacle to vaccine accessibility in several countries and impact on the vaccine campaign and implementation. Budget is everywhere from the entire vaccination process. A successful campaign depends on the available resources and vaccine strategy adopted. Planning of the budget starts before the vaccine campaign and continue all through the process of the campaign. So after the campaign, monitoring and evaluation of the program starts. Data are collected. The team lead generates daily summary reports to be shared with the partners. This will access the coverage, the number of people vaccinated compared to the number in the target area. So during supervision, sites or regions with difficulty should be selected and marked. After the campaign, the impact of vaccination should be evaluated based on the issue forecasted before the campaign. Pharmacovigilance should be top priority by health workers to detect, report, and respond to adverse events to ensure that the safety of the vaccinated. If part of the budget with the approval of the ethical committee, epidemiological studies can be carried out by collecting blood samples from the vaccines to further analyze for the immune response. Besides, public health surveillance is important in studying the impact of vaccination. To recap, please note that the collaboration with all stakeholders is involved in immunization and make the vaccine campaign a success. Vaccine registration by regulatory authorities, social mobilization and political involvement, cold chain temperature management, training the immunization project team, and monitoring for the advanced events. issues that need to be considered when introducing immunization intervention in the most communities is: one is the magnitude of public health problem conclusively determined? Are the risk group identified? Is the effective vaccine available? The ability of vaccine services to cover more than 80% of at-risk population in order to break the transmission, and is there political goodwill? Lastly, what is the cost implication? Say a word-free of vaccine preventable disease means no child get paralyzed, better quality of life, cost saving on resources spent on rehabilitation, treatment, and time from work, and more resources available for other priority health needs. Vaccination is all our responsibility, and everyone counts. Thank you for your attention.